We are back with Donna Hoffman answering your questions. She is the interior design advocate, and this is important stuff if you're thinking about redoing your home. No matter what your budget, have the budget, have a plan. So some of the questions that you've been emailing us and asking, the first of which is, do I go for a cohesive color plan throughout the room, or have the furniture more cohesive, in other words?
Okay, so this is something that designers handle very naturally, but if you're a do-it-yourselfer, the answer is color, color, and more color. You can take disparate furnishings, you can take some hand-me-down furnishings, and you can really marry them by having a cohesive color. You can mix period styles, as long as there's a cohesive color. So color would be the more important. That said, you do have to look at the way you're mixing styles of furniture, and that's really where a pro comes in.
Yeah, because I'm already lost.
Are you? Did I lose you?
See, I'm a good candidate.
Give me a less technical question. Didn't somebody have a question about custom window treatments or something?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That I can handle. Well, I think the next question is what's the next question, Tess? It's more about, here it is right here. So the next viewer question is, how do I incorporate a home office into my home when I didn't have a spare bedroom?
Oh, that's a great question, and we handle that problem a lot. Well, take that living room that's not used and nobody ever goes into, and by all means convert that into a beautiful library / home office study. We do that all the time for people, and frankly, if you're paying for that square footage, I really want to see you use it, so it breaks my heart to see an unused room in a home anyway. And if the living room is something you're just not willing to convert, you can always look to do a conversion in an attic. Sometimes you can add some windows up there. Hate to send people down to the basement because the lighting's not optimal, but we've also done some conversions in basements where we are able to do some walkout basement work where we can add some windows. And I do know some people will go for a garage conversion if they really need a very functional home office and they just don't have the space inside the house to do it.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. To look to the garage. So the next question, which I know that we touched on a little bit, but the next viewer question is, how does a designer charge?
Sure, either flat fee for your project, and that would just be for your scope of design services, that won't cover your furnishings, or hourly for service as rendered. Usually hourly service will begin with some sort of retainer. Why? Because designers sell intellectual property, and our heaviest lifting on a project comes at the beginning of your project, which is why most designers will have a retainer in place so that as they're issuing all of this creative, they know that this is an arrangement for which they're certainly going to be compensated.
Okay, and so in other words, if you maybe wanted to do things in pieces, you might have a designer come, make the plan, pay them for the plan if you're going to do it yourself or do it slowly. Is that what you're saying?
No, with a retainer, yes, what you're talking about can happen, but I'm talking about the fact that if you are signing on with somebody for hourly service, expect that they'll say, okay, you have a retainer of X to get you started, and then you'll receive billing after that if you run your retainer through, and then there's more service that you need and desire. So
it's like a down payment.
It's like a down payment.
Gotcha.
And my point about why designers would take that down payment is because we can't repossess intellectual creative property once it's out of, it's like toothpaste.
Gotcha.
Once it's out, you can't put it back in the tube, right? So that's why I expect that there would be a retainer. That's fairly normal practice. Okay. What you're talking about is really more putting things into phases and stages, and that can be done all the time.
Okay, let's take the next question.
Sure.
I think this one is this about custom, yes, why are custom window treatments so expensive?
Oh, Dawn, I'll tell you what, I would like to hand a client a nitroglycerin tablet as I'm giving them the proposal for the custom window treatments, because they are not low-cost investments. The reason they cost what they do is because there's so much labor, an American skilled labor workroom labor that has been highly trained, highly crafted. So you cannot get the same look from that ready-made, got it from the bed and bath store on that window. You do need a certain volume of fabric, all the layers of linings and interlinings that go into it, plus all that labor. So custom window treatments do come at a high cost. However, there's nothing that looks like them in a room, and all those rooms people are loving on Houzz and all the design magazines, Elle Decor, Arc Digest, those are custom-made window treatments.
So that's a real investment piece if you're
absolutely
looking at that. Let's take a look at the next question. It is, how do I tell the difference between a good sofa and a great sofa?
Wow, I would really bore you with that answer if I got into the nitty-gritty, because it has to do with what's going on the inside of the sofa. Certainly the fabric you put on it will or certainly contribute to the cost. If you think you need about 17 to 20 yards of fabric for the average sofa, and you want $100 per yard fabric on there versus a $300 per yard fabric versus a $30 per yard fabric. But that aside, it has to do with the guts, what's inside the sofa, what kind of materials were used, what kind of wood, what type of cushioning, and what kind of manufacturing processes. So what I'll tell you as a consumer, that $1,000 sofa will never perform as well or sit as comfortably or last as long as the $4,000.
On that thought, we're going to take a break. Be right back here on The Dawn Show. And you're back on The Dawn Show. Dawn Stenslementi here. We're talking to Donna Hoffman, who is the interior design advocate. We only have time for one more viewer question, so let's take a look. Sure. Donna, this is somebody asking, where do you start?
Oh, that's a great question. Quick answer. Designers, I'll tell you where designers start. We generally start on the floor. I either think about what's happening on the floor or the rug, pull the whole room out of that, piece of artwork, pull the whole room scheme out of that, or an inspiration fabric and pull an entire room out of that.
What I hear you saying is, most of all, is the old KISS that we used in journalism, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, and I think hire a pro who can get it done for you well.
And probably save you money in the long run.
Bingo.
I know that firsthand. Right? Donna, right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you learned something. I know I did. Have a good one, everybody. See you here tomorrow on The Dawn Show.